I don't know about you, but I want a life where I wake up in the morning and I feel vibrant. I feel happy. I feel nourished. I feel calm. I want to live a life that feels beautiful. But somewhere along the way, our modern life started taking us away from those things. It started making us unwell. It's making us unhappy. It's leaving us feeling tired and overwhelmed and just a bit blah. And then it tries to sell us the cure. It tries to sell us the answers to the problem that it's created. We've normalised a way of life that looks a bit like sitting inside all day and staring at screens, outsourcing our brains, our beautiful brains, to AI. We're always in a rush to get somewhere, both physically and metaphorically. We're choosing convenience over the things and experiences that would actually really nourish us because we feel like we have no time. We're moving through a world that's essentially being decided for us and is being shaped by algorithms. And then we spend our money buying back the wellness that lifestyle has removed from us. We buy the gym membership to undo all the sitting that we're doing. We buy the supplements to undo the depleted food that we're eating. We book the holiday to undo the burnout. We go to therapy to undo the disconnection. We've turned feeling alive into something we have to earn back through consumption, when it used to just be the default of being human, just a part of being on this earth. And I don't have the answers, and I'm still figuring a lot of this out, but the more I've gone on my own health journey, the more I feel that I'm at my best when I'm able to opt out of modern norms a bit more and tune back into a simple and natural and, I guess you could say, ancestral way of living. The more I strip things back and tune out the noise and simplify, the more I feel like myself. Because while our world has modernized, our bodies haven't. Our biology, our physiology is designed for a more ancient way of living. And we're not really built for this modern life that we've created. When I was doing some research for this video, I actually found that there's a name for this, and it's called an evolutionary mismatch. And then we wonder why we're seeing the rates of so many health issues and chronic illnesses skyrocket. And this is a personal thing for me, because for most of my 20s, I really struggled with chronic fatigue. And I thought there was something wrong with me, that my body was broken, because I couldn't keep up with the commuting, with the 9 to 5, the pace of life that I thought I was supposed to be living, the life that everyone around me seemed to be living. But looking back, I don't think my body was broken at all. It was just trying to keep up with a life that didn't suit it, a life that it was never built for. And I think so many of us women feel like our bodies and our health should allow us to do it all. Like that's the marker of being well, keeping every plate spinning, doing all the things. That's what the modern world tells us, that we can do everything. And when we can't, when we get tired, when we crash, when we burn out, we assume that something's wrong with us. When really, we're just human. And we're tired because the way that we're living is genuinely too much and too far removed from what our bodies actually need. For me, it became this never-ending cycle. I'd fall ill, I'd try all the things, the supplements, the protocols, and they'd hold me together just enough to get back to normal life and to keep living the same way that I had been. But then I'd crash again, round and round, because I hadn't yet realized that the root of my health issues was the life itself. It was the life underneath, the way that I thought I was meant to be living. And those things like supplements and protocols, they did work for a little while, but it was all surface level. The life underneath hadn't changed, so I would just end up right back where I started. So the only thing that actually worked was redesigning my life bit by bit. And this is something I'm still doing. I'm still on this journey. But I found that a lot of this redesigning required me to go against the grain and opt out of a lot of the stuff that modern culture tells us to do, things that have become very normal. And instead, I've started returning to the basics, simplifying, looking to the natural world more for the answers. And I'll be honest, I've not always found it easy, and I've actually found it quite lonely at times. But once I've had a breakthrough, it's felt so worth it because it's brought me back to life. There's this quote that I came across a number of years ago, and I think there's debate as to who said it, but it's always stayed with me. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that everything about our modern world is bad. Some of it is wonderful. This isn't about rejecting everything and going off to live in the woods, unless you want to, in which case, go for it. But it's just about getting a little more intentional and asking what actually makes me feel well, what helps me feel truly happy and alive, and then asking what's currently draining me, what might I need to gently let go of to get me there. So I thought I'd share just a couple of the things that I've done and that I'm still doing to get my health and my joy and my aliveness back. Ways that I'm choosing a less modern lifestyle, I guess, to really just try and root myself back into a way of living that my body recognizes and where I can put my health and my vitality back into my own hands. Something that our modern world is constantly telling us is to buy more stuff, to always be looking for the next thing, as if we're not quite enough without it. We need to dress more on trend. We need to have Instagram-worthy homes. We need the latest kitchen gadget to make our lives easier. And like I said before, often we're buying something to fill a gap, to make up for the discontent that our modern world creates. Consumption culture thrives on us not thriving, and all of that stuff that we buy, it vies for our attention. It fills our homes, it fills our heads, and it can cause a surprising amount of constant stress because everything we own is one more thing to manage, to tidy, to clean. There's this kind of restlessness to having too much stuff. So I've been choosing less. I've been buying a lot less, and I've more recently been starting to really get serious with decluttering and embracing a more minimalist lifestyle. Not the aesthetic. I'm not a big fan of the minimalist aesthetic, but in terms of just having less stuff, that's my goal. But obviously with a baby, it is taking me a while to declutter. But where I have decluttered so far, it feels like such a relief, like such an exhale. And I didn't think it would have such a big effect. I knew it would be good, but I didn't realize it would be so good. And this isn't just about clothes or home decor. Even health has been turned into something to buy. Because if you're someone who wants to do right by your health and by your family's health, you can get a bit too far sucked in sometimes. There's the apps to help you meditate, there's the supplements, there's the wearable tech, there's always another product promising to be the answer. But I feel like this has actually made things worse in some respects because we've forgotten that the very best things for our health are the basics, the foundations, like sunlight, real food, walking or rest. So now I ask myself, do I actually need this wellness product? And don't get me wrong, some of them are fantastic. But I ask, do I need this? Or do I actually need to go back to basics first and really dial those in? One way I get back to those basics is by eating real whole foods as much as I can. Not dieting, not chasing superfoods, but simply eating things that my great-great-grandmother would recognize. Ultra-processed foods make up such a big percentage of our supermarkets now. And I think one of the biggest ways that we can give ourselves back ownership of our health is going back to foods that are real, that are whole, taking a kind of farm-to-table approach as much as possible, rather than things that are extensively manufactured and with long ingredients lists and wrapped in plastic. Now, this isn't always easy and perfection isn't the goal, but cooking from scratch as much as you can, that is the key thing to focus on. Learning to make nourishing meals with simple whole ingredients like eggs or fish or veggies or meat. And I've also been trying to buy local where I can, because focusing on my local community instead of big corporations and big supermarkets is really important to me. And it also has such a big benefit on our health as well, because the food is generally fresher and it retains its nutrients. Now, my budget can't stretch to buying everything locally, and it depends on where you are in terms of like availability and cost of produce. But I do find often that things actually work out cheaper, and sometimes it kind of balances out. And then me and my husband are also trying to grow our own veggies. This year with the baby, we've only managed strawberries and possibly potatoes. We're actually not sure if they're going to grow. So this year is a bit of a write-off. But the last few years we've managed quite a lot, and it's definitely something that we want to carry on doing as well. And then this might sound kind of out there, but I'm going to share it anyway. I think real food, whole foods, carry the energy of the earth. It connects us back to nature. And I think so much of what we eat now has been altered so far from its original state that we've lost that connection, that soul connection with our food. We've stripped it of its natural state, and along with that, the energy and the goodness. And speaking of disconnecting from nature, I really believe the relationship that we have with our phones and technology in general is making us sick in so many ways. We're losing our humanness. We're letting our brains waste away with all the scrolling and now the AI and having the answers to everything at the click of a button. We're blasting our eyes with blue light, which messes with our circadian rhythm, and that affects all sorts of things like our sleep, our hormones, and our body's ability to repair and fight off illness. And then we've forgotten how to just be quiet and just be without constant input and filling every single gap with noise and distraction. And we're also living in this kind of fear and heaviness all the time as well, because we're plugged into world events 24/7. We can still care, of course we can, but our bodies were never designed to know this much or to carry the weight of the world. A body that's always in fear can't heal. We can't live well in that state. And the irony is, it then leaves us too depleted for the people and the home and the little corner of life that we can actually make a difference to. So in choosing a more analog life, I find I can create more instead of always consuming. I can reconnect and return to myself and hear my intuition again without all the noise around me. I can show up for my family and my own little circle with more presence and more energy. And I just feel more alive and in good health when I'm on my phone less. So that life that I described right at the start of this video, waking up feeling alive, feeling nourished, living a beautiful life, I don't need to buy my way there. It's not for sale. It's just waiting underneath all the noise and the rushing and the endless desire for more in this very loud modern world. So I feel like I could share loads more with you in this video, but I think I've chatted for long enough, so I'll leave it there today. But let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do more videos on this, or if there's a topic that I mentioned that you want me to go deeper on. I would love to hear from you, and I'll see you next time.